Ma, where did you get those earrings from? They look gorgeous. Arey, no, they were given to me by my father-in-law. These are enamel and jarrah earrings, which are traditionally Mughal and have been worn in our family for generations, darling. This was in 1947. In 1965, when I went to the US, I was introduced to enamelling. I remembered my mother wearing those beautiful earrings, and they were the same material. I never looked back after that. I've been now enamelling for 55 years, and it has been my dream, and I would like to convert as many people as possible to this art. That's how I started the Enameller Society in the year 2000. The art of using permanent colors with metals to create decorative patterns is the basic technique of enamelling. The history of enamelling is not so clear, yet we know that it is an ancient art and is linked with glass and ceramics. Material for the enamel is frit mixed with oxides, which is similar to glass or glaze. And from this clear frit, enamels are created by adding metallic oxides, which serve as the coloring agent. From its inception in Minoan and Mycenaean metalwork in the 15th century BC to the present, enamel has enjoyed great prominence in personal and ritual objects, and yet it has been ignored for centuries at a time. Techniques known in the Renaissance have gone underground, only to be rediscovered 400 years later. Never completely disappearing, enamel's appeal derives from its permanence and brilliance of color, and the alchemy of its birth as sand transformed by fire into glass and then fused to metal. It can be applied to most metals, but copper is most common for its economy and ability to stand up to the high firing temperatures. But clearly gold, steel, bronze, silver are used as well. On my return to India in 1998, I felt the need to share all that I had learned from so many masters over 2 decades. And I thought that I could turn the wheel and reintroduce enamel in India as it is practiced in so many different countries. So my fellow enamelers abroad, people like Harlan Butt, Elizabeth Turrell, Amal Ghosh, in India, Vivek Das, Vishambar Khanna, they all helped me to set up an Enameller Society in the year 2000. The objective of the society, which was registered in 1999, was to expose India to another world of techniques and scale of international enamelling, to inspire the young generation of Indians who were artists, craftsmen, and jewelers. I saw a young man walking into my studio, and he came and he says, "Ma'am, I had been sent by Amal Ghosh." And then Kana stayed with me for 5 years, and we became members of the same family. So Kana, Now tell us about your experience of coming. How were you attracted to art and how, how that journey began?
I'm basically from a village in Sikar district in Rajasthan, which is a Khawati region. So I have learned many different techniques in murals like sand casting murals, mosaic murals, different kind of frescoes like wet process and dry process. But during that time, I was in search of a medium, something that really attract me and has a lot of possibilities for experimentations, I can say.
Right,
and
yes.
when I was in masters previous, a visiting professor from London, Mr. Amal Ghosh, he came there to introduce this medium enamel on metal to us as a part of our curriculum. And when I started working with the enamel, initially I didn't understand what is this. But then slowly I found it so interesting that somewhere I felt that this is what I wanted. When I was in Santiniketan, I have done a lot of experimentations with enamel on steel. I have not done much on copper. But then after that, I was looking at that how to continue this medium further. So I have discussed with Amalda regarding this, that after finished my masters, how should I continue this? And during that time, Vinu ma'am organized one international seminar come exhibition in Delhi, Color and Light. And Amalda also came in that.
And that was in, I think,
seminar. It was 2001.
2001.
Yes.
Correct. Then we organized several workshops at the Crafts Museum in Delhi and NGMA in Mumbai. And the response was tremendous, and there was really no looking back after that. Everyone wanted to collaborate with us, the HHEC, the Jindals, and a lot of other organizations. We did so many workshops throughout the country, and we had students, artists, pouring in from all over, wanting to attend and learn. And we had the most marvelous 5 years after that, where we just continued from one workshop to the other, teaching different techniques of enamelling in different parts of the country. It was for the first time that we in India were exposed to the multiple dimensions of the vitreous enamel and its power. The famous and the most beautiful vessels of June Schwartz, a legend in her own right, Harlan Butt, Sarah Perkins, silver pieces by Linda Darty. From UK, vessels of Tamar Winter, murals by Elizabeth Terrell. All these were pieces that were seen in India for the first time. I think it was a great inspiration to have someone young wanting to experiment, to learn. We did so many new techniques together.
Yes.
Just experimenting on techniques. We used to read and we used to experiment and we used to do them. So his texturing, cloisonné, all that is actually self-learned. We did everything ourselves.
And actually, I can say in Santiniketan, I have learnt enamelling just partially. I think that was just my beginning, but actual learning happened here under Vinuji's guidance.
I think in the sunset years of my life, it's very important for me to recap and see what difference has the Enameller Society has made in the field of art, craft, jewelry in India.
I got introduced to enamel 20 years ago by Mrs. Venu Shah. It is something which really appealed to my artistic abilities. Enameling for me started out as a love-hate relationship because from the starting I had a fully functioning studio at my disposal thanks to my mother. As I experimented and worked, I really got hooked onto it, and to an extent that I passionately now introduce the medium to newcomers. When a piece goes into the kiln and comes out, it creates a dialogue with your painting because every painting requires n number of firings. And it is really exciting to see when the piece tells you that, okay, no more, I am done. So this is a love affair which shows no sign of abating.
I learned to enamel from two master enamelists, Mr. Bishambar Khanna and Vinu Shah. What attracts me most to enameling is its variations of technique, its beauty, its brilliance, and its unmatchable quality of immortality, which cannot be given by any other art form. After all, it is more than 1,000 years old.
I have been working with fired enamels for the last 14 years. I first learned from Vinu Shah in her studio, and I have now got a studio of my own where I do all sorts of work, particularly sculptural work. I work on copper sheets to give texture and form first, and then I apply the enamel colors and fire the piece multiple times. And it's taught me discipline. It's taught me also that I need to start a piece and bring it to its completion after a kind of maturity that it receives from its test of fire.
What drew me to this process was the complexity of it. Like, there are so many parameters that have to be considered for a desired result, and even after that there are chances that you get completely surprisingly different results. So I feel that particular piece, I'm not the only artist of it. So there is the fire element, then there's the water element which I use giving form to the enamels, then there's earth which the enamel colors itself, and the metal that is used as the base, and then there's air which is so crucial to cool down the plates in between the firing.
Enamel means to me emotion. Enamel means to me how you can create new effect, how you can give new life to one artwork. Enamel means to me a new learning. It's a love and fun doing enamel.
You are
So
the
the general-
only
the-
teacher in the country
Yes.
who is teaching young students in school enameling, and you are actually putting a seed in their education system, which is a tremendous contribution. So please tell us something about your journey of teaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, teaching I have started when I was working with you here in the studio, and we jointly started teaching through workshops, through courses, and then workshops under the Ministry of Textile, DC Handicrafts. After that, in 2006, I got married and shifted to Mumbai, and I started teaching in Mumbai. So when I started in Mumbai, during that time, no one was teaching enameling freely through the workshops like this. So I got very good response from people, and I have connected a lot of new people there. And then in 2016, when I was looking for some institutions to work with, I found the Pathways School, Gurgaon, where my friend Mr. Balbir Bodh, he is HOD, and he is very much open to welcome the new mediums in the school. So he instant said, okay, we can start enameling in the school.
Wonderful.
And we decided to set up the studio, and I joined Pathways in 2016 and started teaching enameling there.
Enamel art to me is just like life. It is unpredictable, uncertain in a way, yet beautiful, and it unravels itself with every firing. The process is quite extensive, but it teaches one to be more patient and accepting. This is exactly how it resonated with me so much that I fell in love with it, just like life.
I was lucky enough to have found a teacher, Kana Lamror, about 8 years ago, and it took only one workshop before I was hooked. I work with copper and vitreous enamels. For me, the beauty is in the colors, but it's the cutting that I'm passionate about. My style was born from my work with pen and ink, and I've worked to translate this intricacy into cutting the copper by hand. My subjects are drawn from nature, primarily plants, trees, insects, and birds. What I love about enamel is the uncertainty of how a piece will turn out. Take it out of the oven and you see the colors shift. A beautiful transformation from powder to glass.
For me, enameling has no limits, no boundaries. It's a medium where you can explore, you can connect with your soul. Because for me, the play of the unknown enameling is the X factor for me. And all my pieces are planned around that. So I don't plan my pieces 100%. I put a certain element to the kiln and the fire, and it's magic. Because in life, I feel you can't control everything, and it's not necessarily if you can't control it, it's not beautiful. So for me, enameling is that.
I stumbled upon enameling quite late in my life, and I am so glad that I did, as it fulfills a certain part of me. I love beating copper to get different shapes and textures, and I enjoy enameling bowls and ball pieces. It has taught me to go with the flow and to take things as it comes and to get pleasure in it.
I've been very lucky to get the opportunity to be in the wonderful company of my mentors Vinuji and Kanaji. The moment I joined the Enamel Societies, some hidden stream of creativity exploded within me. Enamel is a great medium, especially for the newcomer to arts. Each piece one works on, comes out as a very pleasant surprise. And the colors explode right in front of your eyes, even as the super hot metal is cooling down. And then layer by layer, you shape the piece to your heart's desire.
So enamel absolutely resonates with my need to pursue something unconventional. The journey while creating each enamel artwork, be it its varied processes, its happy and unhappy accidents in the kiln, the virtue of patience that it teaches. It makes the enamel artwork and the enamel piece that we create not only beautiful, but it helps in creating and manifesting a unique story of its own.
Enamel excites me with its vibrancy, transparency, and depth of colors on different metals while creating an infinite possibility. I have discovered my own self by getting more calm, passionate, and peaceful.
Awareness of enameling kept growing, and we were very lucky at that time that the Jindals gave us a beautiful large-scale enamel studio in Vasant with a huge kiln which we used for many, many years. Then we reached a stage where we thought that we should be exhibiting together. And we started doing joint exhibitions and had about 15 exhibitions in the last 20 years. And our last exhibition was held at Bikaner House in 2019 to celebrate the 20 years of the Enameller Society.
People have to be able to see that this is a possibility. Even art colleges haven't got full-time enamel courses, because I've spoken to people at Delhi College of Art, JJ School, but it's just been introduced, not really followed through. Yeah. What do you feel, Kanaji, we can now do as the society, as members of the society, how each of us can contribute, and with your experience of teaching and institutions, what do you feel we can do now for spreading the word of enameling and also getting more people involved?
I think enamel has great future, very bright future I can say, and the future lies in education system I think. So we should approach to the educational institutions, because from educational systems, especially students, when they move to the professional fields, they move to different fields like architecture, design. When we teach enamel to them and when they move to their fields, they keep somewhere this in mind, and professionally then they keep, they think that how we can incorporate this medium to our work.
Gradually, what has really become a success is the concept of studio enameling. There are so many studio enamelers in the country, and I really think that is the future. Not only will they continue to do their own work and rise, but they will continue to teach other and inspire.
Just the word enameling doesn't quite give the impression, because people mistake it for all sorts of other mediums. So I think spreading the word of studio enameling, like studio pottery, where the individual artist can also take it up.
Yes.
Do you also feel that it's important to involve traditional craftspeople, or do you think the future lies with the contemporary approach?
You know, as per my experience, if we connect new people with the enamel, then we have better future, because in traditional, I have worked with the traditional enamelers and the craftspeople, but they have a fixed mindset. So in that case, I think we should approach to the new people.
And we have to completely change the way we look at enameling. Enameling is really a way of expression in art, sculpture, murals, because as a craftsman you are not supposed to think, you're just supposed to fill in the colors for your patron
The traditional
in the
setup.
traditional art. So they are never able to come out of that. There are 3 or 4 people who are doing it, and they're doing extremely well. So if you have a limited amount of energy, spend it on teaching new people or art students. Now that I have been at it for the last 50 years and running the Enamelling Society for 20 years, it's time for me to take a back seat, and I would like you people to take the enameling as forward as you can in India.